Hello and welcome to PodCoder. As part of our Idea to Deployment series, till now we have successfully developed our backend using Laravel PHP. We have implemented the authentication on the mobile side. Also, we have fetched the opportunities and rendered it on the mobile side successfully. And we are able to click on any of these opportunities and we are provided with the details of that specific opportunity. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, I highly encourage you to watch the previous videos before watching or continuing with this one. So right now, if I open the design, in our design, you can see here we have the list of opportunities that hopefully we implemented. And here we have the forms. So basically here we are having a list of questions and we need to fetch it from the server and display it on the mobile application. So in this part, we are going to implement this functionality. But before that, I just want to tell you that I have just added this part, this design. So I didn't want it to just bore you with the designing, and it is really a simple one. We have a scaffold here, so the app bar is this part, and after that we have this single child scroll view which has this container. So this container has this padding, and after that we are having this column, and this column is basically this one element, and inside that we are having another column because we have a container. I just wanted to add like a little bit padding to it. We have this column, and inside that column we are having this row. Basically this row is the avatar plus this column and also plus this 2 days. So this row is started from here till here, and inside that, first of all, we have this circle avatar. We have a size box providing this space here, and we are having this expanded widget, and inside that we have a column, and basically this is the name and also the email address. So here we have the name and also we have the email address, and finally at the end of this row we are having this text widget which is saying this part, and we are having this size box inside this column. So this size box is basically providing this white space, and we are having this text widget with these properties like maximum lines and also this style. So basically the font weight is bold, and also we are having this size box here, and after this text, this white space, and we are having this container with the height of 1 and also this color which is this horizontal line. So you will be provided, and I will just upload this code on GitHub so you can have it. But basically what my intention was to not bore you with designing all these things. So right now what we want to do is we want to display this list of questions. So before doing anything, I need to go to the server, the back end, and from back end what we need to do is we need to find out the route for that, right? So let me first of all close this navigation, and here if I write PHP artisan route list, you can see these are all our routes. So here we have the questions, which is a GET request, so API questions, and let me open the Postman, and here I am going to type localhost and 8000 API, not chats. We want the questions, and if I send the request right now, we are just provided with this unauthenticated result. And if I just select the OAuth, and also from here apply, select the forsat, which is our token, and then send the request, you can see right now we are having this list of questions. And inside each question, first of all, we are having this data, and inside that data we are having this object, and this object has all these properties. Basically this object is a single question. It has the question, it has the create type, which is the user, and also we are having this comment, which is a list of single comments. So what we can do is, first of all, we need to create these question class. If you remember what we have done till now, it is mostly similar to fetching the opportunities. So first of all, what we can do is inside our application, inside the classes, I am going to create another directory and I call it as forms. And inside this forms, first of all, we'll have a question .dart, which is our class. So the class question. And this question, first of all, will have a final string question and a final user, which is created by, and a final list of comment, which is the comments. Okay, so basically what we have is, first of all, this question, you can see it's a string. We have this created by a user. We have created this user previously, and we have a list of comments, and with each one a comment, but unfortunately we haven't created this comment class. So let's go and create it. So the comment .dart, so we have the class comment, so it will have the final string comment, it will have final user, so which is the created by, and let me check what else we have. So we have the comment and created by, that's it. So right now what we can do, we can create the comment dot from a JSON. So basically we are creating a factory, and inside this we are provided with the map of a string dynamic. So this is basically the JSON map, so the JSON that we have, and from this JSON we are going to initialize our properties. So first of all, the comment is equal to the JSON map of comment, and if it is null, then we are going to create it as empty string, and we have the created by, which is the JSON map of, let me first of all go here and just select it. Okay, so this is the key, and that's it. But this is not like this. First of all, what we need a user, right? So we can just pass it like this, user from JSON, and then we are just passing this JSON map. If you just JSON map of created by, if you remember from the previous videos, I just explained what we are doing. Basically, this user is a class and we are passing this JSON, and from this JSON, if you remember from here, we are creating this user, or we are initializing this user. So we are done with the comment class. So let me first of all click on it and bring the comment. So right now what we can do is we can create the same way the question class dot from JSON. So we are creating another like a factory for our question class. So map of a string dynamic JSON map. So you might be wondering, what is this map of a string dynamic? Even though I explained it before, I'm going to explain it again. Basically, you can see right now we have this created by, right? And inside this object, we have first of all a string, which is the key, and also a value. But you can see this left part is always a string. So for the first name, for the last name, for the value. But here, right side, here we have integer, here we have a string, and here we have a string date time. So basically, the left part, which is the key, is a string, and the right part is the value, which is dynamic. So that's why we are having this map of a string, which is the left side, the key, and also dynamic, the value. And from this one, we are initializing our class, which is the question. So this factory means like that. So for the question, what we want is we want the JSON map, and from this JSON map, which is this one, I mean this object, from this one we are interested in the question. So we are fetching that question. Okay, so now if it is null, if it is not exist, then we are passing or we are initializing this property equal to this empty string. And right now we have the created by, which is the user dot from JSON, as I mentioned before. So this is the JSON map of created by. Okay, so the JSON map of created by. And finally, we have the list of comments. This is a little bit tricky. Okay, we have the comments, which is a list. And how we can do this one, basically what we want is we want to have a function. So let me call it as get comments. And inside this comments, we are going to pass this JSON map of comments. Okay, so right now you can see we have an error. Why? Because this function or this method is not exist. So let me create this method. If I create it like this, get comment, it will not work because you can see still we have this error even though we are passing this list because we have this list for the comments, right? So we are passing this list. Let me do one thing, create a list of dynamic, and I can say as JSON. You can see still it's not working. Why? Because if I hover on it, it clearly says that the instant member or get comments can't be accessed in an initializer. Basically, this factory is an initializer. We can't have access to the the instance member, because instance member of this class is available after you initialized it. So how we can have access? We can make it static. So if I create static, it will be available in memory, so we can have access to it. So now what we can have here, because this JSON is basically our comments, if you see here. So we have this comments, and this comments is a list. So what we can say, if the comments is equal to null, we want to return a list, an empty list of comment. So comment and empty list, that's it. But if comments are not empty, what we want is we want to return this comments, which is a list. We want to map through it, and if we map through it, you can see it will give us a single comment, and we want to create the comment dot from JSON, and we want to pass the comment, but it's not going to work because we need to call the toList method. So let me just close this navigation bar to tell you what we have done. So we have mapped through each element of this list of comments. Basically, this is our list. Sorry for bothering you. We have many comments. We are mapping or looping through this list of comments, and we are transforming it from a JSON to an instance of this comment class. So we are returning this list of comments, which is here. So we are done with this part. So we are done mostly with our question class. But we need to implement the pagination. If you see from here, let me open it. So let me open it here. So we have lots of questions. So we want to paginate it, right? We don't want to fetch everything at once. Inside the form, I'm going to create another class. I am going to call it as questions.dart because this is a list of our questions. So class questions, not a single question. And we have final, first of all, the pagination, which is the pagination. We have final list of questions. So basically this is our questions, and we want to initialize it, right? So we want to initialize it. Wow, what I've done. So we don't want to that, we want to initialize it. Oh, final questions. Why this is not suggesting me? Wow, I did a mistake here. Okay, sorry for that. So I was wondering why this is not working. Okay, so we have this one. And let me do one thing, even though it's okay, but still I am going to make it as optional. And for this one, I'm just going to name it, right? So we want to add the at required and this, and also at required this one. So let me put a comma here, and that's it. We need to bring the required from the, not the material, we want to bring the foundation dart. Okay, so we are done with this one. We want to use it, we want to use this one for our pagination. So we are done with these classes. Let me close everything, and right now we can move forward to our repositories. So inside the repository, we need to have another repository. I will call it as from.repository.dart, and this is an abstract class. I told you before why we are creating an abstract class, because if you want to implement the testing, so this will help you. And also if we have many methods, we are not missing to override any method. So we'll have a class of forum repository, and this, first of all, here we need to fetch the questions from the server, right? From the server. So we'll have a future. So this future will return the questions, not the question, and we call it as get all questions, right? And we need an integer, which is the page, because we are paginating. Okay, so this is a class. I forgot to add the class to it. So still, oh, we are having this error, a strange error. Oh, must have a body. Oh, I forgot to add this one as abstract. I did add it. How I delete that? Okay, I don't know what happened basically. So we need to have this method or implement this method. So we'll have another class, and basically this class is a forum repository, IMPL, or implementation, which implements the forum repository. And right now, if I just do it like this, you can see right now we are having an error. This is one of the benefits, because we are not missing any methods we are having here. And right now we need to implement this one. So basically we need to get all the questions as we did before with the opportunities. So first of all, I am just going to copy and paste everything from here, even though it is not a good way, but we need to speed up this. I will explain to it. So first of all, we have a try and a catch block that we implemented before. Let me bring this do first of all, and also let me bring this show network error method that we implemented before. So this is our catch part, and that's done. And here what we want is, first of all, we want to await for this one. That's why we need to make this method as async, and also we need to bring this for SAT API that we created before, and we need to call the do from it. And also we are getting, right, we are not getting the opportunities, but what we are getting is, let me create here, so we are getting the questions. And let me do one thing, let me call the page and equal to 1 and send this request. You can see it is the same. So we need to call to this endpoint, and that's it. So this should be questions. So we are just calling to this endpoint, and we are getting a response. Also, we need to provide the options, or later on we will remove this one, and also our local storage class that we have implemented before, and also the token which is coming from the storage keys. So we have the data, and also we have the meta. Once we are called with this way, basically with the pagination, so we have the data. So let me scroll a little bit down. You can see here we have the meta tag, right? That's this is what we are interested in. So we are getting the data, and also we are getting the meta. So let me do one thing. Let me call this one an underscore data, and also let me bring the pagination class that we have implemented before. And this pagination class is basically having this current page and last page. That's it, and that's coming from the meta. We have the current page and also we have the last page. So we don't need the list of, so first of all we are getting the data and the meta, and from that we're creating, from the meta we are creating a pagination. And right now what we want is a list of questions, right? Not questions, and we can call it as questions. List of questions, which is questions. And what we are doing is we are mapping through this data, and from that data we are just, which is that data, which is a list of question, and we are mapping through each item, and from each item we are creating a question from JSON, and we are passing this question. We have done this in the previous parts, if you remember, inside the opportunities repository. So we need to return a questions, and inside this we need to return questions. So this is how we are doing it, and previously we have done it. So let me explain it again. We are getting the response from the user, so we are sending a response, and we need to add this authorization because this route is protected. And also we are getting the response, and from the response we are fetching the data and also meta. So from that, first of all we create the pagination, and also we create the list of questions, and we are creating a new instance of questions. So if you remember, we have created this question, basically needs the pagination and needs the list of questions. So right now this method will return a future questions. So we have done it. So let me remove this one. We have an error. So let me bring this from the due.dart. So we are done. And yes, we are good to go. So now what we want is, first of all, we want to create our state. If you remember, we have auth state, we have opportunity state. The same way we are going to create our forum underscore state.dart, and this is a class, right? Class forum state, and this will have a final forum repository, right? Inside that forum repository, which is the forum repository, and we need to extract this one from, or create a constructor. And here what we need is, first of all, list of question. We can call this one as questions, and which is first of all equal to an empty list. And also we need to have a list of question. Basically this is our setters, and we need to have a get, and that is our questions. And what we want is we want to return the questions. Okay, that's it. List of question and get, and this should return, right? Not equal to. Basically this is our setting part, and this is the getter. What we want is we want to only set this question within this class, not outside of this class. That's why we prefixed with an underscore. And you know that inside the Dart, if we prefix a variable with underscore, means that's private scoped. So we are not able to what you can say, we are not able to kind of set it or initialize it outside of this class. So let me copy one thing from here, and that is the pagination and loading. So I don't want to bore you with that. So let me bring the pagination because it's completely the same. So we are having all these things. Now what we want is we want to have this feature, and that is you can see we have get all opportunities, and it's an async method. So we are having all these things. So I am going to do one thing. So let me do future and get all questions. So we need to have it right now, and that's it. Let me copy all these things till here. And you can already say that I am just copy and pasting myself, right? That is not the way we are doing this course. And you know, we are just following all these difficult steps, which are creating the models, creating the repository, creating the state. That's why we are doing all these complex and difficult steps, because we want to structure our application. And right now here we are just repeating ourselves, and that's the only way. What we want here is to just check if it is a first of the current page, then fetch the data. If not the current page, just check if the pagination is, the current page is less than last page, so fetch the data. If you reach the last page, then don't fetch the data. So this is the exact thing that we are doing here. And if you see here, we are just repeating ourselves the same way as this one. So this is completely the same. So we are completely repeating ourselves. So how we can prevent this one? Because we have a concept in the programming that's called the dry, don't repeat yourself. So right now what we want is we need to create a directory. I'll call it as utils, and inside this utils I am going to create a class called helper.dart and create this class helper. So this helper will have few helper methods. So I will have an static method fetch, paginate, I'll call it as pagination fetch next, and this will just accept pagination. So we'll have a pagination. It's okay to have prefix it with underscore pagination. And then what we want is we just want to have this one, and that's it. But right now this won't help us, because what we need is, let me do one thing, let me remove this loading, and what we need is we need to return this fetch next, which is a boolean here, because based on this fetch next and also the current page, we are kind of fetching the data. So for that, what we need is we need to have another class. I'll tell you, pagination fetch next .dart, and this is a class pagination fetch next. Will have final integer, which is the current page, and also will have a final boolean, and that is fetch next. So what we want is, because we want to return these two values, right, inside this helper method, and in methods we are able to only send a one value. So that's why we need to create this custom data type. So that's the pagination fetch next. So because this class needs to have two parameters, so we are going to just return two parameters from this method, which is our pagination fetch next. So that's why I have created this class. So we need to initialize it, and we need to initialize that, and it has the current page and also the fetch next. So right now what we want is we want to return this new pagination, because we want to initialize that pagination fetch next and the current page, and also we need to send the fetch next. Basically it will only check if it is the current page, so it will return, right, it will return the current page and also the fetch next, which is true, and so on. So we have created this custom method, and right now we can use it here. So we can use it inside this what we can say, inside get all questions. So let me do one thing, remove till here, and instead of this fetch next we can call that helper method, and from fetch from, okay, so pagination fetch next, and we need to just send this dot pagination, and we need a boolean for this, right? So from that it will return a new instance of helper method, and from that we can check fetch next is there or not. So for this one, and also for our pagination, so for the opportunity state, I am going to remove everything till here, so we have this error. And the same way we are going to call this helper dot from pagination fetch next. So this dot pagination, basically this dot pagination means this pagination, and from that we call to fetch next, whether to fetch it or not, because we are passing this pagination every time to this pagination fetch next, which is here, and based on that, so this pagination, it will check to fetch or not. So let me close this one, and we need the current page. So helper dot pagination fetch next, this dot pagination as a parameter we are sending, and from that we are accessing the current page. So that's it. So you can see right now how beautiful it looks. And let me do one thing, let me refresh the application to see it is working or not. Yes, it's working. Let me just scroll a little bit to see if the pagination is working or not. So yes, it's completely working, and right now we have a helper method and we haven't repeated ourselves. Okay, so let me do one thing, and let me come here inside the from state, and the same way that we did inside the opportunities state. So you can see if it's true, first of all we are making the loading equal to true, and we have done it, right? And after that we are fetching these things. We providing the list of opportunities, a list of we are fetching the questions, and also the questions and paginations, and we are doing the same way. So I am going to copy this part, not going to copy it, I'm just going to type it. So we have the questions, and basically these are the new questions that we have fetched from the server, and we need to create this one as async. Okay, so it's an async method, so I'm going to wait for it a little bit, and from that we are calling to the forum repository get all questions, and we are going to pass the page, which is our current page. So how we are able to get the current page? We are again calling to that helper method fetch, okay, pagination fetch next, and from that we are going to pass the pagination. So for the first time this pagination is equal to null. So if I go to the helper method, you can see if the pagination is null, so it will return the fetch next to true, and also the current page is equal to 1. That's why it's working. And from this fetch next we have passed this pagination, we are going to access the current page. Okay, so we are done. And once we are done with these new questions, also what we need is, if you have checked here, we need to just create, initialize these opportunities we have done inside the opportunities, and also the paginations, and make the loading equal to false. So we have these new questions basically, and from that we need to call this it should be this one, questions, and dot add all, because we are fetched the question. So new questions dot questions, basically this is a new instance of this question class, and it has a list of questions. We are adding this list of questions to our questions, and also we need to initialize the pagination, and that pagination is equal to the new questions dot pagination. So that's it. And also we need to make the loading equal to false. So right now we are done till this part, and we hopefully configured our form state, which is going to be used by this form, and also we have completed our form repository. So right now we can call to this endpoint, and everything is separated. You can see that we have divided the logic. So we have created this question, and we have selected from the comments, and also we have created the questions, and also the question, and also the questions, which is list of questions, and also the pagination. And we have done everything. So right now everything is configured. I think this video is getting lengthy, so I am going to complete this the tutorial in the next part. So kindly subscribe and hit the bell button so you'll be notified about the new video.